If he's our governor, why isn't he out here or letting us come in to speak with him?
And Governor Kasich in Toledo, how both sides say the collective bargaining law will help and hurt Ohio.
Always on air, online, on mobile. Fox Toledo News at 10 starts right now.
This is not an attack on anybody. It's asking everybody to pitch in and to do a little bit.
The battle over issue 2 is heating up, and today Ohio's governor entered the fray right here in Toledo. Good evening. I'm Laura Emerson.
And I'm Sean Hegarty. Republican Governor John Kasich made a stop in the Glass City to gain support for his signature legislation. He rallied around 100 people at the Omni in West Toledo. There he joined Toledo Mayor Mike Bell and State Senator Mark Wagner. They told the crowd that what used to be known as Senate Bill 5 only asks state employees to pay what most private workers already do, 15% of their health care costs and 10% of their pensions.
Before Kasich's speech, protesters greeted him at the door. Fox Toledo Sharia Davis is live with why some demonstrators were not happy with how things went.
The rain didn't stop more than 50 protesters from showing up at the Omni. There were firefighters, police officers, and even public school employees asking for Kasich to speak to them directly about issue 2. Today's demonstration was so tense, a supporter for issue 2 couldn't get a word out.
Great thing about American politics, you know, like we're protected to assemble to voice our opinion, but you know, it's also important that we could have a civil conversation. I mean, I think I have good points to support issue 2, and I'm sure they have good points against it, and like I'd like to engage in that kind of dialogue, and it's just kind of sad that they're just screaming.
That's because outside the annex, demonstrators wanted to hear directly from the governor himself.
This bill isn't about 10% of pension pickup and 15% of health care pickup. If it was that simple, he'd be out here talking to us.
Some even held up signs criticizing Kasich's job performance.
He doesn't care about the working people, the state employees. If he's going to do it to us, he's going to do it to the private sector.
Firefighters, police officers, public school employees, and other utility workers say issue 2 will take away collective bargaining rights and leave it in the hands of the city.
It doesn't only affect us that are union workers, it affects everyone. What we also help the public get something on the same order or along the same line. So I think it's important to everyone.
Now, some demonstrators told me personally they were unhappy with the way tempers overheated. They believe the screaming and the yelling won't get them far at all. Others who wanted to talk about issue 2 also told me they were too afraid to make a comment in fear of losing their job. Reporting live, Sharia Davis, Fox Toledo News.
We were at one-on-one with the governor today when he came to the Fox Toledo studios. He says issue 2 will not hurt the middle class. He says it will actually help by making sure everyone pays their fair share.
What we're asking government workers to do is to help share in the solution here, and we're asking them to pay 15% for their health care and 10% for a guaranteed pension. And it isn't fair to ask people who are in the middle class who pay for their own family, then turn around and pay for some people that pay zero for those things. So look, most people would like to sign up for a guaranteed pension.
Sure.
They'd like to sign up for only 15% for their health care. So I think it's very reasonable and very balanced, and if you take all the hype and hyperbole out, that's what it gets down to, and I think people agree with it.
Are you surprised that the uproar that this has gotten into? I mean, now that it's on the ballot and there's a lot of money being spent in the campaigns against it?
Not really. This is, you know, a lot of the people who are in the unions, and first of all, my father carried mail on his back for 29 years. You know, I grew up in a union town. This is not designed to go after and hurt some union. It's basically to say, look, if you're a government worker and you're not paying, you got to pay something because everybody else in the state is paying. But a lot of them have been riled up with, you know, with scare tactics by the bosses, and it's okay. I mean, no, look, whenever you're a change agent, you're always going to have people unsettled. But, you know, at the same time, we've balanced our budget without a tax increase. Our credit rating is improved, and we're actually seeing some good things happen up here in the Northwest. The progress in North Baltimore, the progress with Chrysler, the progress with Johnson Controls, much of which we're involved with. You know, we're starting to see some light now.
How confident are you that this is going to pass?
I'm not a predictor. I'm not Muhammad Ali. I don't predict. I'm up. I go out. I tell people what's in it, and people will make their own decisions. And here's what I know. I know that if Ohioans understand what the issue is, they're going to support it because they don't want to pay twice. You take a single mom with a couple kids it's hard for her to get her health care. She probably has no pension, maybe a 401k, and we're asking her, who's very tough to support her own family, also to support somebody else. If she knows that, she's voting with us. We'll find out if she's going to figure that out.
Well, there was a time where there was a talk about maybe taking it off the ballot and trying to work with people.
Yeah.
What was the thought behind that? Because some people initially thought, hey, he doesn't think it's going to pass, so we got to take it off.
You know, we're always so suspicious of people and their motives. You know, I've had a history throughout my public service career, and even when I was in business, of bringing people together. Look, the opposition didn't want to participate when we wrote the law. Then they came, the FOP and the education folks wanted to speak to somebody close to me, and I said, talk to them, and then they were yanked out of the room, and then I offered it again, because, you know, you want to work things out if you can, but at the end of the day, people cannot avoid paying some of their health care and some of their pension. And you know, when you hear it, I know what's going through your mind. I'm not a mind reader, but you're like, really? You mean there's some people that pay zero? It's hard to believe, but that's where we are. And ask them to pay something isn't an attack on anybody. It's just asking them to help us get through this.
It's just a portion of our discussion today. We have the entire talkback posted right now on foxtoledo.com. Find out if Governor Kasich thinks issue 2 will actually create jobs. That's right now at foxtoledo.com.